Aviva Stanoff. I'm the design director of Aviva Stanoff Design Studio. We are anchored in textiles, and I'm a product designer for the home furnishings industry. And this is A Student's Perspective.
Hi there, and thanks for tuning in to A Student's Perspective, the weekly series that connects students with designers, manufacturers, educators, industry professionals, and design media celebrities to hear their stories on just how they've gotten to where they are now. Through our conversations, we connect the past, present, and future of design to show just how much we can learn from each other to grow towards our fullest potential without prescribed limitations. Think of A Student's Perspective as a weekly design lecture series from the student's point of view. A Student's Perspective is a division of the nonprofit University Hall of Innovation, whose goals are to connect students with the design industry through design challenges and mentorship, and a collaboration with the Marywood University Interior Architecture Program in Scranton, Pennsylvania. All interviews can be found in their video format at www.astudentsperspective.tv. For more information or sponsorship inquiries, please contact universityhallofinnovation@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Bianca and Carrie. We're here at Fall 2022 Market, and I'm here with Aviva Stanoff. Aviva, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe?
Sure. My name is Aviva. I'm a textile designer by training. I have a design studio in Southern California. We specialize in exotic textiles and intentional products being brought to market. We have a lifestyle collection of textiles, home furnishings, decorative objects that are onesies, crystals, and wallpaper, and lighting, and.
We love it. We could see a bunch of beautiful things that you already have out and displayed. So maybe if we want to start on a little bit of some education journey and then the career path that led you to where you are now.
Sure. I have an undergraduate degree in international poli-sci, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. And then I went to graduate school for a master's in fine art, specializing in textiles, high-end textiles. My mentor was Alexander McQueen's textile designer, so I had a very special, lucky experience with my training. As soon as I presented my thesis, I moved to New York City that same day and started working in the industry as a textile designer with my portfolio, walking around town, breaking my feet in my shoulders, and working as a textile designer for about 10 years.
Okay, wow, 10 years.
Oh yeah, I paid my dues for about 10 years in fashion and then switched over to home.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you can see a lot of consistencies of where fashion can translate from fashion to home.
Yes.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about some pieces that we even have out
Sure.
of, how, maybe we'll talk about a little bit of the textiles and the experiences of how that translated.
Sure. We believe that we can bring elements of design that are a bit forward-thinking and decorative with embellishments that might be more suitable for fashion, but adapting them so they are practical and accessible for the home industry. So we're a bit of a design-driven, fashion-driven collection.
Right.
We might even be considered the trophy textiles in a room because we like to pop and create engagement that is inspired by aesthetic, pattern, form, texture that might not necessarily be expected. So we like to delight and surprise people with what is that? Like what that could be a dress or that could be a scarf.
Yeah.
So the thing that we do that we might be known best for is that we have elements that could transition from a throw for a bed, or I can wear this tonight at the awards ceremony. So, that's the thing that's kind of fun is that is it for home? Is it fashion? And it could be for both.
Absolutely. And you have an interesting technique with pressing and embellishing.
Yes.
Do you want to maybe elaborate a little bit?
Sure. We specialize in creating textures and innovating textures. This is a technique that I developed actually during graduate school, where we take real objects and press them into fabric one at a time by hand. It's my signature. Each one comes out a little bit different. We maintain continuity of color and pattern because the sea fan or the botanical in nature, she doesn't change form all of a sudden. Baby's breath always looks like baby's breath. Eucalyptus always looks like eucalyptus, but every delivery is different because we use different plants every time for every printing. We developed this from the thread up. So I developed a fabric that has a memory, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, very intense process. That's amazing.
Not so intense. It's just like dumb luck a little bit.
Okay.
It's me setting off fire alarms in graduate school is really what it comes down to. So experiment, I guess, is the lesson there.
That's the beautiful part of it.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
All right. So you're talking now about nature and the aspect that it has on your pieces, and you can see it everywhere here. But how has that affected you in life?
It's actually the other way around. My life has affected the collection.
Okay.
So I grew up on 24 acres of old growth redwoods in Northern California.
Wow.
We didn't have neighbors. We just had the trees and ourselves, my sister and I, and our dogs, and the land. So we explored a lot in the land. And obviously, if you grow up surrounded by intense nature, like majestic redwoods and butterflies that migrate and little bugs and deer, you're going to be affected by that. You can't change. It's in your DNA. So when I launched my collection, that experience combined with the fact that I summered in a Buddhist temple in Japan every year for my whole life, because I'm half Japanese and my grandfather was the priest. It's our family temple. It really affected the way that I see negative space and intentional pattern. My color palette is really affected by nature.
Yeah, you can absolutely tell.
The aesthetic is also affected by the fact that I wore kimonos and we lived in a temple and everything was minimal and intentional and seasonal.
Yeah.
And that's why my collection looks like this.
Wow. You can tell that the impression that it has had on your work and the way that you are almost returning back to it in a sense.
Well, I never left it.
Yeah, of course.
I never left it.
Yeah, it's like giving back to it from what you can as an individual. Yeah.
It's like sharing that experience in a way that has no borders of language or, everybody can understand it, that can see and feel and sensory. So I like the fact that there is a way to communicate my spirit and my history and my traditions without words to anyone.
Absolutely.
That's fun for me.
That can come in here, even if they have not so much knowledge about the natural world and they're not as connected, they can come in and feel connected in a sense.
Exactly. And they can stand at my front door of my showroom and know a little something about me and the way my perspective is with the world, which is fun for me because they know me before they even talk to me, which I think is so fun.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's so fun.
That's the most important part about design is you have to find what your passion is and what is driving you and then express that to everybody.
Completely, unapologetically.
Right.
You have to just, unapologetically. And, my collection is not your typical collection.
Right.
It really isn't. It's not a corporate type of experience here. We don't bring things to market made in a factory over and over and over. That's not my spirit. So for me, it's been a very serendipitous blessing to be able to find my voice. And my voice happens to be textile design and color and form and textures.
I love that so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So you mentioned your travels a little bit.
Yes.
Where exactly did you go other than Japan? Because it says online that you went to quite a few places to get a little bit of inspiration.
It's probably easier to say where I haven't gone.
Okay.
I've been a traveler and a person of the planet since before I can remember. My mama was grabbing me and taking me out of the country before I can remember. So I travel all the time. I'm a little bit of a travel bug with wanderlust flowing through my veins, and it's not unusual for me. I've gone to Europe twice this year already. We have plans to go to Bali, and it's always for inspiration. And anytime I have an invitation from anyone, whether it's professional or personal, I rarely say no. And I go because it's an opportunity, and the universe is trying to tell you something to take you out of your fishbowl and go out and breathe other water and see other food, and all those things affect you and inspire you. So
absolutely.
We had a last minute trip to Greece about 3 weeks ago, and it completely changed my perspective.
Wow.
Yeah. I've never been in a place that was all white.
Yes.
It was like a canvas. It was like a canvas, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a canvas. I'm just walking into a canvas, and I'm like, oh, what should we paint?
It's almost like you want to do something with it.
We shot Holiday. We shot Holiday. It was a white background.
Perfect.
I brought all red things and blue things, and it was the most amazing thing ever. And we made friends.
That thought translates right over to your interactive pieces and how you put those in the home too, and that's
Yes.
really amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was
Yeah.
almost like I could see what the place was about, and it didn't have to tell me.
Right. It didn't.
It didn't have to
say a
tell me.
word.
Like, oh, it's all lovely and neutral and white, and it's
Right.
just meant for you to be colorful in that space. Like,
Absolutely.
you're the art.
You're
So I was like, I'm the
love
art.
that.
I know. I know. That's why I didn't know that places like that existed
Yeah.
until you go there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the art.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
And
you'll
it's
see that in
funny.
my feed later
Yeah.
for holiday season. You'll
Oh,
see
that's perfect.
like flying dresses.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's really
Oh,
fun.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so
I'm
fun.
excited to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. And so that did remind me about your pieces of the interactive ones. So how did you actually create those? And if you want to even talk about what they are first, I don't know.
They're all interactive.
Okay.
I'm not sure I don't know if you recall, but there was a mermaid pillow
Yes,
that went viral a handful of years ago. That might be one of the best examples of the way I like to bring things to market.
Mhm.
I have a special needs son. He's sensory.
Okay.
So I wanted to design a pillow that he could enjoy and
Yeah.
that special needs community could enjoy. So
Right.
we created a pillow that was
Yeah.
interactive and he could do things to it. It was
Yeah.
still pretty.
Right.
And that's how the mermaid pillow came about.
Okay.
So that would be a perfect example. We had somebody who came into the showroom with like a father and son.
Mhm.
And the father went like this and put like the son's hand
Oh.
on it. And the son said, plant.
Yeah.
And he was blind. And I didn't know that until I was watching kind of the corner of my eye, but those are the things that I have experienced in my career where I'm like, oh my
the
gosh.
moment of I connected and I didn't have to say a word.
I didn't know that would occur.
Yes.
And it makes you tearful, those moments. And
Yeah.
those are the anchors of time that affirm when you're on your journey,
Yes.
your correct or your journey. Those are the things that I'm really grateful for.
Yeah.
So experiential things, if you can engage people with texture, color, or a question mark, you're kind of doing your job is what I feel
Right.
like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it doesn't have to be for everyone.
Yeah,
You know,
no, that's okay.
everything isn't for everyone.
Right.
You just have to find your little corner.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I know.
I
It gives you
appreciate
chills,
so much.
right?
Yeah.
I know.
But even like for anyone, like even if you are just sitting down and you feel this pillow, you're probably gonna feel it again, just out of the curiosity.
Yeah, well, we're
Yeah.
human beings and
Right.
we're wired to kind of touch things and experience and learn what's happening. And
Right.
people often were like, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
And I like the how'd you do that. I
Right.
also like the gosh, that's so pretty.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden we're in a conversation.
Right.
And that's what happens when they're in our clients' homes too.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking is like if I was at someone's house and I'm sitting and I feel this textured pillow, I'm like, wow, that feels like
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Who did that?
Yeah, exactly. So I love that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned sensory. We can tell through a lot of your pieces that you're about sensory, but do you want to talk about it from your perspective a little bit?
I'm just, sensitive to color and pattern, and I just like being able to layer different textures.
Yeah.
I think that it's the world is not two-dimensional; it's three-dimensional, four-dimensional. It's just fun to be able to look at things that aren't flat,
Right.
and that's basically it. Is like it's boring to look at flat
Right.
things. It's more fun to look at all of this.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just luxuriating and having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because, you don't really have to have one sense stimulated. It
No.
can be
Multiple.
right. And I think design, a lot of people see it as it's visual, but it's not just visual. It's an entire experience and you have to take every opportunity. It seems like you're very eager about seeing something, anything, whether it's negative or positive in objective senses and turn it into this beautiful thing and say, this is an opportunity for us.
Yep, even in
Yeah.
the design process, my boards are three-dimensional. There's
Yes.
buttons and fabrics and dresses and trims and things that I found tears from magazines, and I don't do anything on CAD for design.
Yeah.
Like the computer is not my tool for creating.
Right.
It's just a tool for administrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's so important for our
Yeah.
generation to see.
Kind of it is because we're
Yeah.
so screen driven. Like I
Right.
really don't use screens for any design. It's always my hand painting,
Right.
fabric, cutting, playing with
Yeah.
textures. And it's served me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the collection, as you can see.
I was going to say the collection.
This can't be done digitally.
Right.
At all. Not even a little.
Right. A board of if you took a picture and printed a board, it would not do
No.
anything in the same way.
Nope.
Other than say, this is beautiful, but it wouldn't say, how is this done? How can I?
You're right. Yeah. It's just not.
Right.
There's no spirit in a screen.
Absolutely. You can feel it here.
You can definitely feel
Yeah.
it, whether you like to or want to or not.
Right. Absolutely.
The crystals are having their
I
power.
know, they are. They're doing their job. Yeah. So in a lot of your designs, it's very clear. but I would like for you to define it in your own way. How do you redefine luxury?
I define luxury very specifically. We have a phrase that we use associated with my brand, and it's called deliberate luxury.
Okay.
And so it's Aviva Stanoff Design Deliberate Luxury. That's like our catchphrase.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that we bring products to market with intention. We have furs that are obviously luxury type of material, but we bring them to market conscientiously. They're post-consumer waste or no animals are actually harmed in bringing those hides to market. They're from, hides are harvested from herders who've lost their animals to the terrain, for example.
Okay.
The sheepskins are post-consumer waste, which means the animal has been used for food purposes, like mutton, like, you know, in other parts of the world, people eat sheep. And so that's the way we bring things to market. We have silks that are cruelty-free. We have water-based dyes, small batch dyes that we mix by hand on the spot in our design studio. Luxury is buying things that have intention behind it and not just something that's running off of a factory.
Yeah.
To have the luxury of selection and choosing and curating that experience is what I think is going to be the new luxury. Artisanal things are luxury. Handmade things are luxury. Things that aren't designed on a computer or made with a 3D modeling system is luxury. So as we become more technologically intense, the opposite of doing things, an artisanal craftsmanship is luxury.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's important because we see technology as a whole. We should be seeing it as a tool.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Everybody has their different ways of experiencing and having a relationship with technology. This brand believes that luxury is materials, how it's made and who made it, and how it's brought into the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you also redefine home space. How do you do that, and how do you create that?
Well, everybody, as we have experienced these recent things in our, in the last couple of years, home has been redefined to not just be a place where one rests and possibly eats with their family or cooks like that, but it's more becoming office, a meditational space, a place to reset. And, you have to, a lot of people are working from home. So home space is no longer defined as something where it's just you're sleeping and possibly cooking meals for your family or looking after your family, but it's become a place of being able to set your intentions, rest, exercise, work. It's like everything. It's like an all-purpose place, which means you're decorating and maybe accessorizing and curating in a different way. So it's more important to select because you're at home more.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see little bits of, from my knowledge that I have, you can see little bits of Japanese culture kind of incorporated into that.
Well, there was that recent thing about like editing your closet, right? And being tidy and getting rid of clutter. There's little ways that I do see influence of that spirit coming through. And it's kind of nice, right? Because it's fun to be able to layer that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it feels
refreshing.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. So now going into a student's perspective, being a student, if you could maybe put your mind back there, we're curious to know like how you came about these designs and these techniques. I know that you said it was like almost like a happy little accident, but how did that come about?
Well, if you think about who my professor was and who my mentor was, he was Alexander McQueen's textile designer. And if you know Alexander McQueen's work, and he was one of my biggest inspirations, you know that he really pushed the edge of what was expected and of beauty, of fashion, aesthetic. And I remember my professor saying to me, it has to be prettier than it is scary. Like you can shock people, but it really has to be beautiful. So he challenged me to create fierce beauty. And that has never left me. So I feel like as long as students, you're exploring and pushing the limit, maintaining an understanding of what the objective is, which is to delight people and bring them wellness, right? And make them happy. So we're not trying to shock people or scare them or like be have spiky pillows or like just for shock value. But we are trying to make sure that wellness and pretty things are around us that bring us happy vibes, and it could be unusual, but it has to be pretty.
Yeah, I appreciate that sense of wellness
Yes.
because I feel like that's a huge focal point.
Yes.
So we are, as students, looking also for how we found our journey and how you found this specific niche. I think that like we look towards inspiration, but sometimes there's so much beautiful inspiration around us that we get a little bit lost. So how did you find that direction?
Actually, the clients and designers around me kind of molded me into what they needed.
Yeah.
So they challenged me. As I mentioned, I started in doing textiles for fashion.
Okay.
And because of the look, it was the houses like Christian Dior Couture, Givenchy, Donna Karan, that it invited me to create based on their boards.
Yeah.
So those houses would say, hey, make it look like snakeskin. Make it feel like snakeskin.
Yeah.
Make it be, it's about orchids and neutrals. And for me, it was, I have to deliver.
Right.
And I have to because I have to survive, right? I was a student. I just have to pay my rent somehow and feed myself and buy fabric.
Yeah.
So they angled me towards these very things that they needed. And I wanted to deliver beautifully and delightfully.
Yeah.
And along the way, I just felt like certain techniques and certain fabrics were where I felt like home.
Right.
I was at home. And in that, I'm not trying to be punny or anything, but it was like certain things felt right.
Yeah.
And certain things I noticed were able to have farther development possibilities. Yeah. And I just practice textiles every day. And I still am practicing and refining and exploring that. And I'm still not over it.
Right.
And I still want to represent and throw down and keep this textile world going, representing in the United States as a woman, as a maker. And I'm just, the fire in my belly is not out about that.
And it's so clear that, this is yours, that this is something that you found. This even like the pillows, the feeling of all of the throws and everything is, even if it's different, it's translated in the same language.
Like people in the industry have invited me to collaborate with them, like the lighting collection or the wallpaper collection. Right. And for me, it would have never occurred to me to do lighting until, for example, Mr. Brownlee Curry came in and said, you have to do lighting with us, or can you do lighting for us? And it's hard to say no when you have an invitation like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have not given myself any limitations as a creative. I thought I was a textile designer, but it appears that I'm a product designer.
Right. And that's okay. That's all with discovery. It's just sometimes you do have to step out of your comfort zone as long as you're carrying that sense of home with you.
Yes.
And it's so clear that you've done that.
You have to listen to the universe and your colleagues and your mentors and allow your spirit to receive that.
Yeah.
So you can't just be like, well, I'm a fashion designer and that's all I am forever. Like that's just like silly, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just evolving all the time.
Yeah.
So I invite the world to allow me to grow.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can feel that.
I mean, it's a blessing.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for it.
Of course. Good. I'm so glad. So for our final question, we tie it all together with, if you were a student, your student self again, what piece of advice would you give to yourself?
The piece of advice that I would give to myself is just listen to your own spirit. Make your own heart sing. If you can find something that you enjoy doing, or, the flag that you love waving and that just raises your spirit, it won't feel like work.
Right.
So you can't force yourself to do something just because you want to do it for the money, for example. Right. You have to do it because it's something more important than that. Financials are important. But what's more important is that your spirit can be happy. Yes. So you can just, it's going to be easy. Right. Like if painting is your thing, figure out a way where that could pay your bills.
Absolutely.
But be stubborn about that and be very defensive about protecting your own wellness. And that comes from what you do all day long and what you do for your job.
Right.
So I would just say, listen to that, know what's in your DNA in terms of a creative, and just go and march down that road to protect that and celebrate that every single day with ferocity.
Absolutely. I think that that's so important for us to see, is that somebody who's taking that stepping stone every single day. And it's not looking at the whole ladder, but it's just looking at, where am I today? How can this affect my work so that I can get further and further?
Yeah, there's a quote in my office, which is, rent is due every day when you have a brand.
Right. It's true.
Rent is due every single day.
Yeah, it's very true. Yep. But when you have that drive every single day, it's so consistent that you can see it through all
You
of
just have to surrender to it and just
Right.
accept it.
Right.
That's what we've
Yeah.
done.
And we can appreciate it along the way as well.
Every day
Of
we
course.
do this.
Of course. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this conversation, give it a like, comment, and follow. And join us next week as the conversation continues from a student's perspective.
We hope you like this discussion with the design industry from a student's perspective. Please like, share, and comment, and stay tuned for more inspiring conversations to come.